In this episode of Mastering Local Marketing, we explore the crucial question, where do different generations shop? With shopping habits no longer being a one-size-fits-all, it's essential for small business owners to understand the local marketing implications of generational preferences. From the tech-savvy Gen Z on TikTok and Instagram to the more traditional Gen X shoppers, each generation has distinct go-to channels. We dive into the reasons behind the decline of shopping malls and why online platforms like Amazon and social media are dominating the landscape. In this episode, we break down 1, how each generation prefers to shop and the importance of local marketing strategies. 2, the role of in-store experiences versus digital channels in attracting diverse customers. And 3, what you can implement to remain relevant across generations. Tune in and discover actionable insights that can help your business thrive into today's competitive environment. He is Matt Hansen, the digital marketing professor here at Purdue Northwest. I'm Jed, the owner of Jed TV Sports Network and WJOB Podcast Network. I don't know if this is possible.
Sure it is. I don't know what it is, but sure it is.
Look at Adriana there for the third time this morning, hosted the morning show as a 21-year-old with another 21-year-old who is extremely immature. And they were able to do a show in a market, in a radio market that is dominated probably on 45 years and over. Mm-hmm. And they were able to make the connection. They had real good numbers on YouTube. They had a bunch of callers. And I asked her how'd it go. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, nobody's really interacting because we're 21 years old. Yeah. And she tells us in the thing, oh, no, it went great. So I'm like, how did that happen?
I don't know. I was very surprised when I went on YouTube, looked at the numbers. I was full-heartedly going in. I'm like, I know it's going to be like maybe 1 or 2, and that's just going to be like my mom and my grandmother watching. Like I was expecting it. And I look, there's 30 people. It's like, whoa, hold on. So then as we continue talking, and the thing was that I found we weren't talking about politics, which surprised me even more because that's what usually grabs the attention, at least for this audience and environment. So we weren't talking about politics, and we talked about it for maybe 30 minutes, and we still had that same audience numbers. So I think it was just more so people were interested to see who are these individuals, what do they have to say, and how are they going to present it. So with the numbers like this, we can only hope that it stays around that same for the first few and grows from there.
It surprises the hell out of me to talk in a generational way.
Yeah. No, I mean, generations they're all different, right? And we got to realize that we're all running together in this world, and there are differences among generations that we have to understand, and there are similarities among generations that we have to understand. So I think, obviously they're doing a good job in what they're doing. I won't touch politics to save my life on air for anything, so we won't even discuss that. But you've got to understand that there are various audiences and there are various things that are going on. But one of the reason that I wanted to discuss this today is I sit in a classroom full of 20, 21, 22-year-olds, and I am discussing marketing with them from a media perspective, right? So we talk about mediums, media vehicles, and a media vehicle is basically something that carries your message, right? So you're talking about WJOB and the sports network and all this other stuff. Today we're talking about kind of 6 areas that each one of the generations pay attention to, where they want to shop. And it's funny because in the last episode you were talking about every time I go out and shop for something, I'm analyzing.
You are.
I am bad about it. So I hate to go shopping because I don't buy anything because I see everything. I understand everything. I admire good marketing, but it doesn't work on me.
By the way, about time for a new quarter zip there, Adriana.
Yeah.
I know we have a whole bunch of swag here. Think we could help them out here? You haven't bought one in a while, right?
No, I haven't bought one in a while. So
All right,
yeah,
go ahead.
no. Today was a very traditional, like laid back day, if you get that. But the idea is really this: that when you're looking at the generations that are going through right now, there are very distinct differences in how they want to shop. So we have everything from Gen Z, who are 13 to 28-year-olds. We have millennials who are 29 to 44. We have Gen Z or Gen X, who's 45 to 60. That's kind of where I fall. And then we have baby boomers, 61 to 79, right? So they're very, very different in their processes here. So if I go to a baby boomer and I start talking about TikTok, there's a little bit of like misunderstanding. They don't get it. They may be on it, but they're not really tied to it, right? We look at shopping malls and where they are at this point, right? We have a variety of shopping malls that were around us, and that I remember, as a kid, we would go shopping for back to school and all this other stuff. Today, you know what? Christmas is, a few months away. The boxes are already starting to show up to my house, right? So my wife is buying things, and here comes Christmas gifts already. I cannot remember the last time I went to a mall to buy something, and I don't even know what's in a shopping mall at this point. So when we look at all of these things, and we're going to discuss kind of TikTok, Instagram, your own website, Amazon, in-store, and even pop-up shops that have kind of become popular over the last few years. These generations, you have to sit back and go, all right, who is our customer? Are we selling to boomers? Are we selling to Gen Z? And where do we need to be? So again, we've worked with a bunch of different companies, and we actually had a company come to us years ago, and they had an aging demographic. So it was 45 and older, and they were struggling because they didn't understand how to get a younger demographic. But their competitors were doing exactly, they had the younger demographic in the big cities and all this other stuff. So just by looking at the data, we started to understand, okay, you have a demographic shift here. People are moving to this other company because they're younger and the way that they approach things. And this company was selling their services online, whereas the older aging company was still doing everything in person in a shop, right? You had to come see them, make a phone call. And what we had to point out to them was, and I'm telling you this was like 15 years ago when we were having this conversation. And we were saying, you need to understand, if you're going to go after a younger demographic and younger generation, you have to understand what they want and how they want to shop. Okay? So I don't know how you want to approach this today, but...
Well, let's talk about what we do in class. If you guys know this, Matt Hansen and I met each other as I was a grad student in the MBA program, kind of longer and a little older. Actually, I think I was one of the oldest to graduate ever.
Still the oldest to date. No, just kidding.
Yeah, it's very possible. And it was just because I'm on the campus here, and I took one class and I took another, and next thing you know, I'm halfway through. Like, I might as well get an MBA. So I took a couple of his classes, and I liked when we would do this, exactly what we have on the paper here, for discussions, 1 through 5. I love those things. Like, what is, 1 being the best and then 5 being the worst. So you look at TikTok, and then you look at all of the different groups, Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers, getting older as you go through. And you say, all right, well, which age grouping, is more appropriate for TikTok?
Right.
And it's pretty easy to fill this one
Of course.
out. Is 1 for Gen Z, which is 13 to 28, and it's 5 for baby boomers, and it kind of just gradually goes up. But TikTok is almost exclusively dominated 13 to 28.
Yeah.
Although, you might have some onlookers and stuff, but that's where their main, that's what they want, is that group. and that if you want to reach people and you want to advertise, that's where you would go.
Yeah, TikTok is making millionaires across the world in the shopping realm, and those that understand what's going on are taking advantage of it. So TikTok has actually become the search engine for this early generation, right? That's where they go for their information. They spend countless hours on it, and they're constantly shopping on there. When you start talking about an older demographic, such as a Gen X or a baby boomer, like, I get it, but I would rather go to an Amazon to buy the product than trust something that I'm getting through TikTok. And this, in my own household, it's funny because my wife is a couple years older than me, but we still fall within the same generation. And she will uncover different things, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or wherever she's shopping. And she'll see something and she sends it to me and she's like, do I trust this? So there's a trust issue on it with an older generation, right? And I'll look into things and I'll start to tell her, like, don't buy this. This is a scam, or, these people have really bad reviews or whatever it may be. And I'll do the work for her on that. But there's this transitional period where you and I used to shop at shopping malls. And now we've transitioned to the Amazons, the Targets, the Walmarts, whatever it may be, we buy through the
Drive
major...
Close or Amazon.
Right.
Here, B&H Photo is a big one.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially for you
a lot
guys.
of gadgets and lighting and stuff like that. But I feel secure going on Amazon.
Right.
I feel secure going on Walmart's website. I don't necessarily like going to Walmart.
Right.
But you're right. There is a lot of it's driving, and all the stores are around us now, and everything you ever wanted was on Amazon.
Right.
So I'm like you. I haven't been to a shopping mall per se in a decade.
Right. But you still, if there was a mall that had the stuff that you were looking for, which there isn't at this point, let's face it, shopping malls have basically deteriorated to a small fraction of what they used to be. But if you could take the Amazon experience and put it into a local place, you would still go, right? You would still go check it out. Be like, oh, if B&H Photo had the cameras that we use here in the studio, and you could run down the street and go check them out, you would do that in a heartbeat.
Be a regular.
Right. So when we look at an older generation, it comes down to trust and familiarity. When we look at a younger generation, such as my kids, they're online and they're like, oh, they're just clicking things and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy this. And they don't put a whole lot of thought into it because they don't have this long history of shopping. And really that trust factor is still there because they haven't been burned by something. Let's be honest, right? So they're looking at their social feeds, their TikToks, their Instagrams, and they're embedded in this because this is their entertainment. And now they're shopping in there as well. I was laughing the other day because I was looking at eBay now has live shopping in there, which is really interesting. So they're auctioning things off. It's people that you're following and so forth. So they're taking the same approach even on eBay that they're using on TikTok and Instagram, right? So it's a different generation, and that's going to slowly catch up to the older generations. But the way that we need to look at this is, at least 10, 15 years ago, from a marketer standpoint, I was waiting for Gen Xers and boomers to get a smartphone in their hands. It was driving me insane because it took so long for us to get out of the old Razor flip phones and everything else. Now we've gotten to the point where a majority of everyone has some form of smartphone in their hand that they can use as a computer device and so forth. That's where we are here. So the Instagrams, the TikToks, the live shopping, those types of things are slowly moving to the Gen Xers, to the boomers. So when you're looking at your customer base and you're saying, well, I'm selling to the boomers, does it make sense to be on TikTok and Instagram trying to sell product, or should you be pushing them over to your website? So, when we look at kind of the ranking of a Gen X and a boomer, their preferred method is Amazon. At this point,
The boomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Amazon. So you got to look at that and go, okay, how long did it take for Amazon to get there? A while, but they're there now, and they are building. Like, there's nobody going to knock Amazon off. I mean, there's so much infrastructure and the way that they built this thing that they're there.
So why is it that Gen Z, Adriana once again represents Gen Z, why is it that Amazon is not as much of does not have much of an impact on Gen Z? Do you buy a lot off of Amazon? All right, Adriana's nodding.
Let me ask the question. How often are you on TikTok or Instagram versus Amazon?
I'm on TikTok and Instagram more so because that is an entertainment value in itself. But for just like regular shopping things, I look at Amazon maybe at least once a week.
Okay. But you're on TikTok and Instagram or one of them daily, if not in the last hour.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on it right now behind there when I was trying to get your attention?
I was actually replying to somebody on Snapchat. So.
All right. So
the wrong
same
social
idea.
media,
All right, good enough.
Right. So what we're saying though is that it's their entertainment venue. So I hear it in my house all the time. My wife's always like, "Get off your phone, do something," and I look at her and I go, "That's their TV. You're watching TV, they're watching their TV on their phone, so it's really kind of hard to yell at them for that." But if you see something on TV and it's a commercial, my wife will then go to Amazon and look for it. What we're doing with TikTok and Instagram is that it's a direct button right there to go and buy it instead of having to go search for it on Amazon. Many times I'm telling you right now, between 10 o'clock and 2 a.m. is where a good majority of that stuff gets sold on those platforms. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always laugh. I'm like, put the phone down after 10 o'clock to my kids, because you start getting into this rabbit hole of just various things, and you're tired and you spend money and you wake up the next morning, you're like, what did I buy?
Well, for that, they made it easier. So as you scroll, and if you click the middle, it's like almost the middle of the screen. It's a little bit lower. It says find similar. And they analyze the entire screen, whether it be somebody's shirt, a product they are holding, or the phone in their hand.
Yeah.
And we'll find similar videos and where it's at on TikTok Shop.
Right. So what we're saying here is shopping malls that are outdated. We've got pop-up shops, which we really haven't talked about, but are interesting in their own sense, right? You've got Amazon that targets you and goes, once you drop something into a cart, it will follow you in perpetuity, right, across the web. Mm-hmm. But then you have Instagram and TikTok that are the entertainment vessel that is delivering not only your entertainment but your shopping, and is making it much easier for you to find things as well, right? So from a generational standpoint, again, it's going to take a lot of time for it to get all the way up to the boomers to be comfortable in that. We'll see where it goes in time. There's going to be somebody else that comes along in the future, right? So TikTok wasn't around, 10 years ago? Right?
It was.
Was it?
It was.
Okay. I don't know the start date of it.
By 2020 is when it picked up, but it was around by 2017.
Okay.
So almost.
But still, it's relatively new, right? So we're talking 8 years, right? Something's coming. We don't know what it is, but what's going to be the next round that makes it easier to shop and all those types of things?
So we're back to the small and medium-sized business, local business, local marketing. So what can they take from this discussion to their business?
Basically, look at your customer base. Who are you going after? Are you going after an older demographic? Are you going after a younger demographic? Or if you're going after all of them, you have to understand that there are certain preferences. So many people will say, well, we want to go younger. Okay, that's great. Then you start to look at, the millennials and the Gen Zs of the world. Amazon, when we look at our data here, Amazon is number one for everyone but the 13 to 28-year-olds. So are you selling anything on Amazon? Yes, no, I don't know. That's entirely up to you if you want to go down that rabbit hole, right? But when we start to look at websites, that becomes number two for the millennials and the Gen Xers, right? it kind of works as well with the baby boomers. So, again, it's the Amazon's, your own website, trusted types of things. So you have to look at it and go, okay, well, are we going to get into e-commerce? E-commerce has become relatively easy these days. When I first set up my first e-commerce site, I had to literally hard code all the tax rates into every single order, including the ones that varied based on counties. That was always fun. Today, you can just go out there and get Shopify. It does it all for you, and you don't have to worry about it. It will actually take care of the tax.
You were hard coding county tax rates?
Hard coding tax rates into the checkout. So that tells you how old I am in the digital marketing space, right there.
That does.
Right?
I mean, that wasn't that far long ago that you would have had to do that, but the small to medium-sized business has all of these tools, and they have a limited marketing budget. Are you saying that if they want to get younger, they should go to certainly sell their stuff on Amazon if they can,
right?
If Amazon will accept it? Certainly, the website kind of goes all the way across the board, so you got to spend a little bit of time on your website. And, maybe one of the easier ones that I would think to get in would be Instagram.
Yeah, either Instagram or TikTok. If you're going after a younger demographic, you need to be on there today. And I cannot say that enough. You need to learn how to sell product through there. You need to understand what others are doing. You need to follow as many people as you possibly can in your niche and understand the way that they are doing. So it's great that you're posting content, but really what you need to understand is when you sell something that pays the bills, so learn from others. Listen to podcasts that will tell you how to sell on TikTok. I don't personally advise anybody, consult anybody in that realm, but there are people that I know that if I were to take it and go to that next level, let's say tomorrow I want to start some kind of brand and start selling it on TikTok, I know there are people that I can reach out to that will help guide me along the way.
He's Matt Hansen. You probably can't get into his digital marketing classes at Purdue Northwest, but you can listen to Mastering Local Marketing wherever you get your podcast. This is episode 80, Shopping Across Generations, a Local Marketing Perspective. Thanks a lot to Adriana Alvarez, who is a senior at PNW, and to you, Matt Hansen, like always.
Good to see you.
And thanks to you for listening and watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.